everybody, it's Chef Doreece with the Sylvia Center, a food and nutrition program for young people based in New York City and also upstate in Columbia County. Today, I'm going to talk to you about me and my food journey. So I guess the best way to start is at the beginning. So, my family is from the South, Mississippi. My grandparents came to New York City quite a long time ago, and they brought all of their Southern comfort and hospitality along with them. Food for me was always a big event. Every special gathering, birthday, holiday, there was always massive amounts of food. And it's not only just because my grandparents have lots of children, they had 12 children, and they had their grandchildren, but because my grandmother had this sense of community, meaning if somebody was hungry, the ability to be able to come over to eat was there. That was her bit of Southern hospitality that kind of like stuck with me. I love to feed people, whether they're family, friends, or just somebody out on the street. It's just something that stuck with me and that I love to do. It's my way of feeling good, being able to give back to those who need. I loved to watch cooking shows. It's weird because my friends, my cousins were my friends. They would call and they would ask me to come outside, and they would say, "Doreece, what are you doing?" And I would say, "I'm watching a cooking show," and they knew to stop and to leave me alone. They were just like, "She's not coming outside," and I didn't. I watched Julia Childs, I watched so many people on TV, but she's the one who stuck with me because her attitude towards food, it was remarkable. Like her character, her charisma, it just helped me become the person that I am today. It's just one of those things that I've loved to navigate towards, and to hear that I can actually watch her show online again, it's one of those things that makes me giddy inside. But that was like around the age of 8 that I started watching those cooking shows. It probably was younger than that, but that was like my first exposure to things outside of my culture. Being part of a family that is from the South, everything was fried chicken, smothered pork chops. We had all types of starches, potatoes, rice, cornbread, whatever it might have been. We had so much food at every family gathering, and those are the things that I love to eat. Things like that, and being from the South and eating those heavy, fatty, and sugar-filled meals. I've had to learn how to have a better diet because diabetes runs in my family, diabetes and heart disease. Both of my grandparents were diagnosed with diabetes and heart disease. The person that I learned to cook from was my grandmother. My mother could cook. However, my mother worked a lot. So when she came home from work, we call my mother the quick fix queen, because when she got home from work, 30 minutes later, there was a meal on the table. And I don't know how she did it, but she managed. And, I can cook like my grandmother. My grandmother is here. My mother is here. But when it comes to food, grandma is all the way up here. So I learned to cook like her. And my grandmother didn't measure anything. Everything was by eye. She can touch, she can feel, and she can see exactly what she was putting into her food. And I learned how to measure the same way. I was not able to cook until my teenage years. My grandparents had fallen ill with the diabetes, and I helped to care for them. And one day I got the green light to go in the kitchen to cook, and I did, and they liked it. So I knew that was the start of something wonderful, and I ran away from it for a very long time. So I was surprised that I actually went to culinary school. It's like I had a day of reflection and an epiphany moment, and I said, you know what, if I'm going to school, I should do something that I love. You know, I've been in school for business administration, I've been in school for a biology major, I've been in school, but I was just like, you know, I actually want a degree in something that I love so I can feel like I did something for myself. When it came to college, I felt like the career paths that I was choosing weren't career paths that I wanted for me, but for other people to be proud of me. But something about culinary arts just stuck out to me. I didn't think of making a career out of it. What was funny about my time in culinary school is it was a breeze. It was a breeze. Like, there was some types of hiccups because we had like hurricanes and stuff like that, and I have a child. But the terminology, I knew it. The food, I knew it. Even if I've never actually touched the food, I knew what to do with it because I watched all of my life somebody else do it on TV. And I just ran with it. My first semester in school, I was approached by the director at the time, and he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. I remember sitting down with him and speaking about wanting to do volunteer work, and, you know, because I knew the amount of time that I had was limited because I do have a child that I was raising and going to school. And, you know, he said, you know what, you need to come to work for us. And I never wanted to. He talked me into it. I was like, I wanted to volunteer, I didn't want to work. And best thing ever. I came and I started working for the school. I started as a program assistant and worked my way up to a chef instructor. And one of the best things that ever happened to me. I was told, I want to say within that first year of school, that I needed to teach. And sometimes it takes somebody else to see it in you for you to actually take it seriously. So that's what I ended up doing. I became a chef instructor, a sanitarian. I teach safety and sanitation classes, and I'm also a cake decorator. I do not like to bake. It's just something that I stumble upon. I am very artistic, so cake decorating came a little bit easier for me. I especially love to carve cakes. The weird thing about my cake decorating is someone asked me one day if I knew how to make a cake, and I did. So I was like, here you go. And ever since then, people have been asking me to bake cakes. And it's been about 7 years now of cake decorating, and you know, it's a tedious task, but it's very fulfilling. I love to be able to push things out that are beautiful and for people to appreciate my artistic values. I do love to cook more than anything. You can add a little here, add a little there. I love cuisine. My favorite foods would be, because my family's from the South, of course I'm going to go back to Southern food. Chicken and dumplings is my favorite dish. It's one pot, everything's in a pot, and dumplings with a little bit of extra pepper is always something that I've always loved. The reason why I like it is because it takes me back home to when my grandparents were here, and that sense of family. It's like something that you eat that brings you to a moment, a nostalgic moment. That's what chicken and dumplings does for me. It's like I feel like I'm being hugged by my grandparents, so it's always something that stuck with me. As a dessert, banana pudding. I love banana pudding. I love banana pudding. I make pudding from scratch, of course. I can hear my grandmother in my ear like, you better be making it from scratch. So that's how I make it. I do not use box pudding. I think that would be frowned upon in my household. But those are some of the staple items that I continue to make when I feel a need to have a sense of home, or if I need some type of comfort. My favorite things to eat are pasta, and my favorite vegetable is broccoli rabe. And what else do I like? Broccoli rabe, Brussels sprouts. I love bok choy. I'm pretty happy that I did go to culinary school because it exposed me to those ingredients that I never really had the ability to physically touch. Seafood. I love seafood. Now, funny story about seafood. As a child, I had a fish bone get stuck in my gums. And because it got stuck in my gums, I stayed away from fish for a very long time. When I got into culinary school, I started to eat seafood again, and I learned the right way to cook things. I learned that having a bone in a filleted fish was a physical hazard. I learned all these things, and it fulfills me to be able to pass those on to other people. Again, I have this thing for hospitality. I love to feed people, I love to teach people, and I also love to learn. So I learn a lot from my students as well. My son is a teenager and a very picky eater, and I like to say that his taste buds are bougie because it's a little bit different when your mom's a chef. You get to eat different things, and his thing is lamb chops. He loves lamb chops, and he also loves ramen. I love ramen as well. I love a nice broth. I love a nice ramen noodle. And you know, it's some of those things that we share together. We go out to eat ramen as much as we can, authentic ramen, not the store-bought brand. But it's one of those things that we can share with each other. And I've also been teaching him how to cook, which has been an experience. It's not the easiest thing to do, to teach your own child how to cook, but I can teach other people's children. But the weirdest thing happened. He hugged me the other day and he said, "You know what, Mom, thank you for teaching me how to cook," because I wasn't feeling good, and he grew tired of waiting for me to make a meal. So he got up and he cooked dinner. He cooked lunch that day. He also cooked dinner, and then the next day he was just like, "Okay, so what am I cooking today?" You know, and it was exciting for me to see that excitement in his eyes. When it comes to cooking, like, I know this might not be his career path, but I do know that he loves and he enjoys it just as well. So cook together as a family, cook together as friends, and well, I guess that's it. That's my story. So if you like my story and you want to see more, go to www.sylviacenter.org and also post your own stories. I would love to hear about your food journeys. I'm Chef Doreece with the Sylvia Center. Thank you for joining me.